The chamber was cold, dark, and silent. Zyra's small alien body crouched in the corner, her wide eyes scanning the room. Every step she had taken had led her here, to a floor covered in deadly, gleaming spears. Each spike jutted out like a frozen predator, waiting for the slightest movement to strike. She could feel the weight of fear pressing down on her chest. Her captors had left her to die, a punishment for something she had not done. Zyra's mind raced, remembering the moments before her capture. The galactic trade hall had been crowded, bustling with aliens and humans alike. She had been carrying a small package for her employer, nothing important, nothing dangerous. Suddenly, the guards appeared, their faces hidden behind cold helmets. No words were exchanged, only the harsh command to follow. She had tried to explain, to show that she had done nothing wrong. But the guards had ignored her pleas, dragging her away into the shadows. Now she was here, in a chamber that seemed alive with menace. The spikes glimmered in the dim light, reflecting her fear. Even breathing was dangerous. One wrong move, and the spears would pierce her body. She tested the floor carefully with the tip of her clawed foot. A spike shifted slightly, and she jumped back, her heart pounding. Every instinct screamed at her to stay still, but staying still meant waiting for death. Outside, footsteps echoed, heavy and measured. Zyra pressed herself against the wall, hoping the shadows would hide her. The door hissed open, and a human stepped inside, tall and calm. He moved with precision, examining the floor with careful eyes. Unlike the guards, there was no malice in his movements, only caution. Zyra's heart leapt. Could this human be different? Could he help her? The human crouched by the first row of spikes, testing them carefully. He pressed hidden panels and buttons that Zyra had never noticed. Each movement seemed calculated, practiced. Zyra watched, terrified and hopeful at the same time. If he made one mistake, they would both be impaled. But he continued, moving skillfully across the deadly floor. Finally, he looked at her, his eyes meeting hers. There was understanding there, not just of her danger, but of her life. He extended his hand, a simple gesture, but full of promise. Zyra hesitated, fear fighting hope, but the calm in his eyes gave her courage. Slowly, she stepped forward, testing each movement. The spikes shifted beneath her claws, but she followed him, one careful step at a time. The chamber rumbled suddenly, alarms beginning to sound. Their captors had discovered movement, their punishment growing more dangerous by the second. Time was slipping away, but the human did not falter. They moved together, each step precise, until they reached the edge of the deadly floor. Zyra's legs shook, but she followed him through the doorway, leaving the spears behind. Beyond the chamber, endless metal corridors stretched in every direction. The human led the way, moving with confidence, as if he knew the layout perfectly. Every corner seemed dangerous, every shadow a possible threat. But for the first time, Zyra felt hope, a fragile but real feeling. She had survived, at least for now, thanks to a human who risked everything for her. And as they disappeared into the dark corridors together, Zyra wondered, why would a human risk his life to save an alien? She did not know that his choice would set in motion events that could change the galaxy forever. Zyra followed the human through the narrow corridors, her small claws clicking softly on the metal floor. Her breathing was still fast, her heart racing from the terror she had just survived. The human moved silently but with purpose, his eyes scanning every shadow, every corner. He seemed familiar with this place, as if he had been here before, yet Zyra did not recognize him. "Are you going to help me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The human glanced back, his dark eyes softening for the first time. "Yes, but we must move quickly," he replied, his tone calm yet urgent. Zyra noticed something strange about him, a badge on his chest, glowing faintly. It was not a symbol she had ever seen, yet it carried authority, power, and perhaps hope. As they rounded a corner, a faint red light pulsed along the walls. Zyra realized it was an alert system, probably triggered by her earlier movements. The human froze for a moment, studying the pattern of lights and sensors. Then he whispered, "Follow my steps exactly, or the floor ahead will be deadly." Her stomach tightened, remembering the spear-strewn chamber she had just escaped. She nodded, trusting him, though fear still clung to every nerve. Step by careful step, they navigated the corridor. The human's knowledge of traps and hidden mechanisms was extraordinary. He pressed panels and sequences, ducked under beams, and avoided invisible lasers. Zyra marveled at his skill, silently wondering who he really was. No ordinary human could survive here alone, let alone guide another. After what felt like hours, they reached a heavy steel door, sealed tight. The human placed his hand on a glowing scanner, muttering numbers and symbols. The lock clicked, the door slowly opening to reveal a hidden chamber beyond. Inside, it was warm and quiet, a stark contrast to the cold corridors they had just crossed. Zyra felt a strange sense of safety for the first time since her capture. "Rest here," the human said, motioning to a small bench. Zyra collapsed onto it, her body shaking with exhaustion. "You saved me," she said quietly, still in disbelief. "I did what anyone with a conscience would do," he replied, his gaze steady. Zyra studied him, sensing there was more to him than he showed. A secret, a past that made him capable of extraordinary things. As she caught her breath, her mind wandered back to the spears. How easily her life could have ended if he had been one step slower. She realized that survival was more than luck. It was about who was willing to fight for life. The human sat nearby, seemingly lost in thought. Then he finally spoke. "They don't want you alive, Zyra, not because of who you are, but because of what you know." "What do you mean?" she asked, panic creeping into her voice. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There are secrets hidden in your world, things some species would kill to protect, and they think you have seen too much." Zyra's eyes widened, understanding the danger she had barely escaped. It was not just her life at stake, it was knowledge, power, and the balance of many worlds. Outside, the faint hum of machinery continued, constant and unyielding. The human's hand rested lightly on a small weapon, ready to defend. Zyra realized for the first time that she was not completely alone. Someone was willing to risk everything for her survival. And in that moment, she felt a spark of hope, fragile but burning bright. She did not know what awaited them outside the hidden chamber, nor did she understand how dangerous her journey had become. But one thing was certain, her life had changed forever, and the human beside her held the key to survival in a galaxy full of deadly secrets. Zyra's legs were stiff as she followed the human through the twisting corridors. Her mind was racing, thinking about the secrets he had mentioned and the danger she had narrowly escaped. She glanced around, noticing the faint red glow from the alert lights, still pulsing. It was a warning. Somewhere nearby, her captors were searching, relentless and deadly. The human moved quickly, silently, his eyes always scanning. "You must stay close," he whispered. "They can sense you through the corridors if you separate." Zyra nodded, gripping her small satchel tightly, her only link to the world she had left behind. Every sound, metal creaking, a distant alarm, even her own heartbeat, felt amplified in the quiet. Suddenly, a faint hiss echoed through the hall. The human froze, holding up a hand, signaling Zyra to stop. Shadows moved along the walls, figures clad in dark suits, weapons in hand. The hunters had found her trail, their footsteps deliberate, unyielding. Zyra's heart slammed against her chest, fear threatening to overwhelm her. The human pressed a hidden panel in the wall, revealing a narrow vent. "We can go through here," he said. "It's risky, but faster than the main corridors." Zyra glanced inside. The metal walls tight, the space barely wide enough for her small frame. But there was no other choice, no time to hesitate. She crawled inside first, the human following, his body larger, yet he moved with surprising agility. The vent twisted and turned, carrying them above the hunters. Every vibration from the floor below sent shivers up Zyra's spine. She could hear the muffled voices of the pursuers, discussing strategies. It was clear, they would not stop until she was captured or worse. The human's hands were steady on the walls, guiding her safely. She realized that without him, she would have been lost long ago. After what felt like endless crawling, the vent opened into a maintenance room. The human helped her out, brushing dust from her shoulders. Zyra tried to steady her breathing, her small body still trembling. "What now?" she asked quietly, her voice barely audible. "We moved to the shuttle," he replied. "There's only one way out, and it's through the docking bay." Zyra followed him, her mind filled with questions. Who was he really? Why risk so much for her, a stranger? The human moved without hesitation, bypassing security locks and electronic traps. It was clear he had done this before, guiding others through deadly situations. Zyra's fear mixed with awe. His skill was almost inhuman, yet entirely human. Suddenly, a siren blared, red lights flashing violently. "The alert is spreading," he said, urgency in his voice. The hunters were converging, faster than they had anticipated. Zyra's small body shivered, but the human's presence calmed her. He pointed to a hidden hatch in the floor. "Here. Quick." They dropped down into the hatch, landing silently in a service corridor. The walls were narrow, the air smelled metallic, and the tension was suffocating. Zyra clutched her satchel, aware that every step could mean discovery. The human led her with precision, every turn calculated, every shadow avoided. Outside, the docking bay loomed, bright lights cutting through the darkness. Their escape was within reach, but she knew the hunters were relentless, and that this was only the beginning of a far larger, deadlier pursuit. Zyra realized that her survival depended on more than luck now. It depended on her trust in the human beside her, and on the courage she had never known she possessed. Together, they would face enemies who thought her life was worthless. But Zyra had learned one truth in the Spear-Strewn chamber. Even the smallest life could inspire the greatest fight. Zyra's small frame pressed against the metal walls as the human led her toward the docking bay. The corridor stretched endlessly, lights flickering above, casting shadows that seemed to move with them. Her heart pounded, every sound amplified. The hum of machines, the whir of servos, even the distant footsteps of their pursuers. She clutched her satchel, knowing it contained secrets worth killing for. The human glanced at her, eyes sharp, calculating. "We are almost there," he whispered. "But the bay is guarded, and they expect us." Zyra nodded, fear gripping her, yet she felt a strange surge of determination. If she survived this, she would owe her life to this human, and she would not waste it. As they neared the bay, the sounds of guards became louder, their voices harsh and commanding. Zyra froze for a moment. Then the human tapped a small device on the wall. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow maintenance ramp. "We take this," he said. "It will bypass most of their patrols, but move fast." They ran through the ramp, the metal vibrating beneath their feet. Zyra's claws clicked on the surface as she hurried, her breathing ragged. The human moved with ease, guiding her through twists and turns. Every shadow, every corner was a potential threat, yet he seemed to anticipate each danger. Finally, they emerged near the docking bay, vast and lit by bright white lights. Hovercrafts and shuttles lined the bay, engines humming softly, waiting for orders. But the guards had noticed movement, their eyes scanning the area, weapons ready. Zyra's pulse raced. There was no time to hesitate, no room for mistakes. The human pointed toward a small shuttle at the far end. "It's the fastest," he said. "We take it, or we die here." Zyra followed him, sprinting with every ounce of strength she had. Lasers streaked past them, guards shouting commands, alarms blaring. Every step was life or death, every breath a risk. They reached the shuttle, the human hacking the access panel with quick, practiced movements. The doors hissed open, and he helped Zyra inside. She barely had time to catch her breath before the engines roared to life. The shuttle lifted off the platform, weaving through the docking bay as guards fired. Zyra pressed herself to the floor, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. The human maneuvered the shuttle with precision, dodging laser fire and debris. Zyra watched the bay recede below, a maze of danger they had just escaped. Her mind raced. Who was this human, capable of such skill and courage? She realized that without him, she would never have survived the spear chamber, the corridors, or the bay. As they flew into the dark expanse of space, Zyra looked out at the stars. Freedom felt fragile, yet exhilarating. The human glanced at her, a faint smile breaking his serious expression. "We are not safe yet," he said, "but we have a chance now." Zyra nodded, feeling a strange bond forming between them. For the first time, she felt hope, real hope, beyond fear and survival. Yet somewhere in the galaxy, her captors would regroup. They would not stop until they reclaimed what they believed was theirs. Zyra's journey had only just begun, and the stakes were higher than she could imagine. But she had learned one truth. She was no longer alone. And with a human by her side, even the deadliest threats could be faced. The stars stretched before them, endless and silent. Yet in that silence, Zyra felt a spark of courage, a promise that she would fight, she would survive, and she would uncover the secrets that made her a target. Together, they would face whatever dangers the galaxy dared to throw their way. Zyra sat in the shuttle, her small hands gripping the edge of the seat. Her eyes followed the stars streaking past the viewport, each one a reminder of how far she had come. The human piloted with calm precision, weaving through asteroid fields and abandoned satellites. Yet, despite the silence inside the cabin, tension hung thick in the air. "They are not far behind," he said quietly, eyes scanning the instrument panel. Zyra's heart tightened, fear creeping back into her chest. "Why are they chasing me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The human's gaze met hers, steady and serious. "They fear what you know, Zyra, something they cannot control," he replied. His words made her stomach twist, the satchel at her side suddenly feeling heavier. She realized that her small discoveries, her small secrets, could decide the fate of many worlds. The human adjusted the controls, tapping a series of codes. A faint green light flickered on the dashboard, showing a hidden frequency. "This signal," he said, "leads us to a safe haven, a place they cannot reach." Zyra leaned forward, curiosity mixed with fear. The coordinates pointed to a forgotten moon, isolated, hidden in the shadow of a massive gas giant. "Do you think they will follow us there?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "They might," he said, "but it is our best chance to regroup and plan." The journey was tense, the shuttle skimming past rocky debris. Every movement outside could hide danger, every shadow a threat. Zyra's small body remained rigid, senses alert. She watched the human work, marveling at his skill. He had an instinct for danger, a knowledge of the galaxy few humans possessed. It was clear he was not ordinary, yet he had risked everything for her. As the hidden moon grew larger on the viewport, Zyra felt a strange mix of relief and apprehension. The surface below was barren, gray, and cold, yet it promised safety, at least for a time. The human guided the shuttle to a concealed landing pad, camouflaged under rocky overhangs. Zyra's claws tapped nervously on the floor as the engines powered down. For the first time, the threat of immediate death seemed distant. But the human was not relaxed, eyes still scanning the surroundings. "They may track energy signatures," he warned. "We cannot remain here long without hiding." He opened a small hatch, revealing a tunnel that led into the moon's interior. "Come on," he said. "This path will keep us invisible for now." Zyra followed, her small steps echoing softly on the metal floor. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading deeper into the cold, dark moon. Inside, the human activated a faint light, revealing a network of chambers. Equipment hummed quietly, and the walls were lined with supplies and technology. "This is my base," he said. "I've used it before to hide and plan. You will be safe here, for now." Zyra looked around, awe and relief washing over her. She had survived the spears, the hunters, and now she had a chance to breathe, to think, to plan. Yet deep down, she knew the danger was far from over. Her pursuers would not give up easily, and the secrets she carried were too valuable to be ignored. The human turned to her, expression serious. "We need to move quickly," he said. "They will come. But together, we can turn the chase into a fight." Zyra nodded, feeling courage stir within her. For the first time, she felt more than survival. She felt determination. Determination to face what was coming, and to prove that even one small alien could challenge the galaxy. Zyra and the human moved quietly through the hidden base. The cold walls hummed softly with power, lights flickering faintly. She clutched her satchel, still heavy with secrets. Every sound outside reminded her of the hunters, relentless and patient. The human led her to a small observation deck overlooking the moon's barren surface. Through the viewport, she saw nothing but gray rock and shadows. "Do you think they can track us here?" she asked, her voice low. "They can track some things," he said, "but not everything. We have a few advantages." He tapped a console, activating sensors that scanned the area for movement. The screen flickered, showing blips of distant ships approaching. Zyra's heart sank. Her pursuers had followed them, faster than she had imagined. "We need to act quickly," the human said, voice calm but tense. He pulled out a small weapon, compact yet powerful, its glow blue in the dim light. Zyra's small hands tightened on her satchel, fear and determination mixing. She had survived traps, corridors, and docking bays. But now, she realized that open confrontation was coming, whether she wanted it or not. Outside, the ships descended, scanning beams slicing through the shadows. The human activated a hidden camo field around the base. Zyra could barely see them, but she knew they were coming. The hunters would not stop until she was captured, or dead. "They're sending a team down," he whispered, checking the instruments. Zyra peered through a narrow viewport, tiny figures moving across the gray terrain. They were heavily armed, moving in precise formation. Her stomach churned with fear, but the human's calm presence steadied her. He was preparing for something. Zyra could sense it, something bold and dangerous. The human moved to a console, pulling up maps and schematics. "This is our chance," he said. "We can turn this ambush against them." He pointed to weak points in the terrain, areas where rocks and shadows could be used as cover. Zyra listened, absorbing every instruction, realizing that she had to trust him completely. Her survival now depended not just on his skill, but on her courage, her speed, her choices. The first hunter team reached the base perimeter, scanning, cautious, confident. Zyra's pulse raced, but the human whispered, "Wait for my signal." They crouched behind a ledge, hidden from view. Then, with a sudden gesture, he activated a small device. A series of controlled explosions rocked the surface, throwing rocks and dust into the air. The hunters were disoriented, their sensors disrupted. "Now," the human shouted, leaping from cover, weapon firing with precision. Zyra followed, moving faster than she had thought possible. Together, they struck with speed and strategy, exploiting the hunters' confusion. The small alien's instincts, combined with the human's training, created a deadly team. Each movement was calculated, each step purposeful. By the time the hunters regained their bearings, Zyra and the human had vanished. They moved deeper into the hidden tunnels, leaving chaos and confusion behind. Zyra's heart pounded with adrenaline and excitement. For the first time, she felt the thrill of fighting back, of not just surviving but taking control. The human glanced at her, a small smile breaking his serious demeanor. "You're faster than I thought," he said, "and braver." Zyra realized something. She was no longer just a victim. She was part of a fight, part of something larger. And together with the human, she could face the galaxy's deadliest threats. No matter how impossible it seemed, they would survive, and perhaps even win. Zyra and the human moved deeper into the hidden tunnels of the moon. Every step echoed softly, a reminder that danger still surrounded them. The hunters were regrouping outside, relentless and patient. But Zyra no longer felt the same fear that had gripped her in the Spear-Strewn chamber. The human paused at a control station, activating a series of lights and screens. "This is it," he said, voice calm but determined. "We can send a signal to the other human fleets, call for reinforcements, and turn the hunters' plan against them." Zyra watched, awe filling her chest. Even now, in the cold shadows of this remote moon, humans were capable of courage and strategy beyond anything she had imagined. Outside, the hunters advanced, confident that the alien was trapped. They did not expect resistance, did not expect the humans to fight back with intelligence and unity. The human typed rapidly, sending encrypted messages across the galaxy. Soon, distant ships responded, cutting through space at impossible speeds. Zyra felt a spark of hope, fragile but real. She realized that she was witnessing something extraordinary. Humans defending not just themselves, but others who could not fight alone. The first wave of enemy ships reached the moon, scanning for the hidden base. Lasers streaked across the gray surface, but the human had prepared. Hidden turrets activated, precise and deadly. Zyra ducked behind a console, eyes wide as the battle erupted outside. The humans' technology, combined with their courage, created a force the hunters could not ignore. The human turned to her, expression fierce. "You can help," he said, handing her a small control panel. Zyra hesitated, then nodded, understanding that even her small actions could make a difference. With her guidance, energy barriers activated, redirecting attacks. Enemy ships faltered, confused by the coordinated human defenses. Minutes stretched like hours, the battle intense, terrifying, yet strangely inspiring. Zyra watched humans and allies from distant worlds fight together. One by one, the enemy ships fell, unable to overcome the combined will and skill of those defending life. It was not just technology that won the day, but courage, strategy, and the refusal to submit. Finally, the dust settled, silence stretching across the moon's barren surface. The human placed a hand on Zyra's shoulder, steadying her trembling body. "You survived," he said. "And so did your secrets, thanks to all of this." Zyra looked around, seeing ships from different worlds in formation. A powerful truth settled in her mind. Humanity could stand against impossible odds. Even when all seemed lost, they would fight, and they would protect. For the first time, Zyra felt something stronger than fear or hope. She felt trust, courage, and the bond between species. She realized that the galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. Yet even the smallest life could matter, could inspire action, could change the course of events. The human smiled faintly, looking at the stars beyond the moon. "Out here," he said, "life is worth fighting for, no matter who you are." Zyra nodded, her small claws brushing against the console. She had survived, yes, but more importantly, she had witnessed the power of courage, of intelligence, of humanity itself. And as they prepared to leave the hidden base behind, Zyra knew one truth that would stay with her forever. Even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, even against the deadliest threats, humans could rise, fight, and prevail. And one small alien life had played a part in showing the galaxy what courage truly meant.